Don't you wanna try it?
Today, we are talking about an app that has actually become one of the most used apps in the world. It is considered the number one downloaded Bible app in the world as well. It's called YouVersion, Y-O-U version, the number one downloaded Bible app. So if you have ever tried to build spiritual practices or study any holy text for that matter, the Bible is certainly known around the world, is very respected in many religious traditions, etc. But there are so many other powerful learning texts and how to learn about love and life specifically and enhance our spiritual walks and our journey of life on this earth. So please understand when I say this is not the only text that you can study to really connect with unconditional love, source of unconditional love, God, the great creator, Elohim, etc., etc. However you refer to that great creator. So if you have ever tried to build spiritual practices like I have through the years with your phone in your hand, because we are in this world of technology, we have been for many decades, then this app has probably crossed your screen in some way, shape, or form. Or at a bare minimum, you've probably heard people online talking or teaching or preaching about the Bible. So as always, I am looking at this app from the lens of an educator, a creator, and also an everyday user. How does this app actually support learning, reflection, my daily life, etc.? And where does it get in its own way? And so I want to talk through some of the key features. I love that it has access to multiple translations. It has a huge library of Bible translations available for free as long as you have a phone and access to the internet. And it makes these scriptures accessible across many languages, traditions, and reading levels. For example, I love my copy of the First Nations version New Testament, and this is available in the Bible app. I was actually a little surprised a few years ago when I saw that they had it, and it made me grow in my respect for the app and all of the different translations I can pull. Going to different apocrypha versions, the Jewish Bible, all of these different ways. There's the Children's International Bible, New International Version, Amplified Version. They even have different Scottish versions of the Psalms in written in different meter. It's vast. So one of the other key features I do like is the reading plans and devotionals. It's a wide variety of different topical plans on grief, stress, seasonal themes, etc. And you can choose plans that are a few days long or months, which support different habits and attention spans. I have used the plans. Actually, many years ago, when I was busier as a school administrator, I used the plans because I was much more structured and I wanted to make sure that it was an intentional area of study for me. And then there's also the ability to have social and community features. You can engage in comments with friends or groups. You can also use offline study tools, such as downloading the passages for later reading, so you don't have to be on the internet or the app. You can bookmark, highlight, and note take to come back to different meaningful scriptures at a later time. So now let's get into the nitty gritty. You know I love my hot nerd verdict, but I will not give it to you until we've gone through some key features as well as what's working and maybe what's not, just based on my own experiences. Of course, I have to give you the honest hot nerd verdict. So what's working though? The accessibility and also the access. As long as you have a phone and internet, you can access a huge Bible library of devotionals and tools at no cost. And this is really big for people who may not have shelves that are full of print resources, or maybe you don't have the funds to invest in a bunch of different versions of Holy Scriptures, the Bible in particular. There are also a variety of reading plans, as mentioned, and then finally the study-friendly tools. So these are the things that I would consider are working. And as a person who cares about learning and lived practices, I really do appreciate that YouVersion doesn't just throw text at you. It does offer scaffolding like plans, highlights, and downloads that make it easier to engage with ancient scriptures and texts. And especially if you don't love reading or deciphering what a text means and making meaning of it, these tools are really, really helpful. So I think that is one thing that's working really well. Not all of us are theologians or have deeply studied different scriptures. I am a researcher. I have done these things, but I can tell you that the scriptures can still be super confusing to unpack. And with all of the translations, as well as the learning tools, it's a very helpful app. Now, what needs work? Ooh, let's get to it. This is where my friction is, okay? My biggest pain points with the YouVersion app are that it does often feel like YouVersion is talking at me instead of supporting me, which I don't love for a kind of spiritual study and spiritual walk type app. I didn't choose the pop-ups or in a spiritual context, like the distractions. That's what I would call them. And that matters. Consent and calm are part of the experience. So I would say that the control and customization, it's not always straightforward for a non-techie user to fully dial down, customize, or turn off the notifications that we don't want. You can definitely choose a quiet mode or minimalist mode for people who just want scripture and plans without the constant nudges. So this is something that I noticed in the app myself, and it kind of frustrated me to the point of like, before Easter time, and I don't really even celebrate Easter like that anymore in the respects of what a lot of westernized Christianity does. But I will say that it was frustrating because I kept getting constant notifications like, oh, time's running out to do a new study plan for Easter. And now this has continued. And I've seen this happen more and more over the past few years. It wasn't as much like this. And I've been on the app for probably over 10 years across multiple phone models. So getting back to kind of the noisy user experience, when we're in spiritual practices and that's competing with like constant badges and pop-ups, that app design from a tech standpoint can unintentionally recreate the very distraction that many of us actually come to escape, right? And so people who are sensitive to digital clutter or you prefer more intentional reminders, the notification overload and lack of consent can feel kind of pushy if you don't explicitly opt into them. And so just like Facebook or anything, you have to go into your settings and make sure that you're in that minimalist mode. So I don't love that for a Holy Scripture based app, but I do understand it from a tech standpoint. So here is my hot nerd verdict. Here we are at the end of this review on App Fabulous. Make sure you hit follow or subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, and right here on YouTube, hit follow. We have lots of live modeling workshops as well as all types of learning labs here on at Justine Gonzalez, my Teach Techies digital learning community on YouTube. But if you prefer podcast listening, we are on Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Audible, all the podcast platforms. So here's the hot nerd verdict on YouVersion, the #1 most downloaded Bible app currently in the world. From a feature and accessibility standpoint, this is an A-level app in my opinion. The range of the translations, the reading plans, and the ability to download, bookmark, and highlight actually make it a powerful tool for anyone who's building a spiritual or study practice from just using their phone. So now I've talked a little bit about this from a user experience, and especially if you're sensitive to digital noise, it does drop to a letter B. For me, it drops to a B or maybe even a C. The notification overload and pop-ups that we don't like explicitly choose can definitely undermine that intentional focus, as I brought up earlier. So overall, I would put YouVersion, the hot nerd rating, at a 7 or 8 out of 10. It's a fantastic resource that I recommend with a big asterisk. Go into your settings, claim your attention, and focus it the way that you want. Build a version of the app experience. And to be honest, I I recommend this for any app, but especially if this is meant to give you contemplation, reflection time, and studying scriptures, then I would definitely choose things that honor your nervous system and your spiritual practice. I can't stand to be in there studying a passage and then get a pop-up. So just my hot nerd beef, so to speak, with the app. But for my fellow App Fabulous family here, especially those of you who are integrating tech with well-being, with spiritual and contemplative practices, this is absolutely worth keeping on your phone, the YouVersion app, as long as you are the one leading the rhythm, not the notifications. And isn't that life, my friends? We are the ones in the driver's seat. And often, so many tools and things of quote unquote convenience, they kind of have us forgetting this. And we often give over that consent in so many ways that we don't realize that we're doing, whether it's through technology apps or what we choose to consume. So this has been another review on App Fabulous. Welcome to our summer season. This is a kickoff. We do have weekly episodes releasing, and I'll give you a quick rundown of those. Of course, this was a review of the YouVersion Bible app. On 7/7, we will release Suno, AI music generator app. Then the next episode after that, on 7/14, will be our website auditor app called Vivid Audits. Then I'm reviewing Canva. So this one you want to make sure you hit your notifications for too, because I'm also sharing a free access step-by-step course to master Canva in 90 minutes. That releases on July 21st. And then we also have all of our different episodes lined up through September. So you'll want to hit subscribe. You'll want to stay tuned. And I will do my best not to be super long-winded and give you guys the key features of every app, what's working, what needs work, in my opinion, and ultimately my hot nerd verdict. Thanks for being here. This episode and all episodes, the podcast itself, is sponsored by the Teach Techies community, our digital learning community. It's sponsored by Teach Techies. So always check out the show notes. And thank you so much for the love and support. Until next time, don't you want to try it? Take care.
App Fabulous, don't you wanna try it?